Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, what if everything I'm doing right now isn't enough? What if all the little decisions, all the habits you cling to, all the excuses you tell yourself every single day are quietly stealing your future? Imagine waking up 3 months from today and realizing that nothing has changed. You're in the same place, the same cycle, the same patterns, wondering why life seems to be passing you by. It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? But here's the truth: if you do nothing, nothing will change. The clock is ticking, every second a chance that will never come again. And yet, most people go through life asleep, waiting for it, tomorrow, to be the day they start. But tomorrow never comes until you decide it will. What if I told you that 3 months of focused, intentional effort, just 90 days, could completely change the trajectory of your life? Not slowly, not eventually, but dramatically, fundamentally, in ways you can feel in your bones and see in your reflection. That's right, 90 days. That's all it takes to start rewriting your story, to begin becoming the person you were always capable of being. And the first step is brutal honesty. You have to stop lying to yourself. Stop hiding behind comfort. Stop telling yourself you'll start next week or next month or when the timing is right. There is no perfect timing. There is no magic moment. The only moment is now. You see, transformation is not about giant leaps. It's about consistent daily actions. Every choice you make compounds. Every day you push yourself. Every time you resist the easy path. Every time you commit to showing up for yourself, you are building a new life. And yes, it's going to hurt. Growth always hurts. Change always demands discomfort. But that discomfort is a signal. It's not punishment. It's proof that you are alive, proof that you are expanding beyond your old limits. Over the next 90 days, you will face doubt. You will face fear. You will face the temptation to quit. But here's the secret that separates those who fail from those who rise. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's showing up. Showing up even when the fire is small, even when no one is watching, even when your body and mind are screaming, give up. That's the difference. That's what creates momentum. That's what creates change. That's what makes 3 months feel like a lifetime in terms of growth. So I ask you now, will you keep waiting for life to happen to you? Or will you take these next 90 days and refuse to be the same person you were yesterday? Because everything you want is waiting on the other side of effort, on the other side of persistence, on the other side of commitment. And it begins now. Let me tell you a story. There was a person who for years felt stuck. Every morning they woke up, went through the motions, did what was expected, and went to bed exhausted. They thought success was something that happened to other people, that life was a series of coincidences and luck, not their choices. But then one day, something shifted. They asked a simple question: what if I showed up differently every single day for just 3 months? That's all it took to spark a transformation. They didn't suddenly become a genius, a millionaire, or someone the world would immediately notice. But they became relentless. They became consistent. They became someone who refused to settle for mediocrity. And here's the thing: change doesn't happen because of motivation alone. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather. What creates lasting transformation is systems, bold systems, the kind of daily routines, habits, and decisions that build an unshakable foundation. Showing up isn't about grand gestures, it's about repeated, deliberate action. Think about it: one day of effort changes nothing. 1 week is barely noticeable. But 90 days of intentional work compounds in ways that feel almost magical, almost unstoppable. Every small victory, every minor adjustment, every time you resist giving up, it adds up. That's the hidden power most people ignore. Here's a secret many people fail to understand: discomfort is your guide, not your enemy. When you feel the sting of resistance, when your mind screams to quit, that's when real growth is happening. That's when you're shedding the old version of yourself, the version that accepted mediocrity. The version that whispered, I can't, I'm not enough, maybe tomorrow. You can't wait for confidence to arrive. Confidence is a byproduct of showing up. The more you show up, the stronger you become. The more you persist, the more capable you feel. And this is where most people fail. They think transformation requires perfection. They think it's about never missing a day, never making a mistake, never feeling doubt. But the truth, imperfection is part of the system. What matters is momentum. What matters is persistence. What matters is making the choice every day to rise above yesterday's limitations. 3 months of this, and your mindset shifts, your perspective shifts. You start seeing obstacles as opportunities, discomfort as a signal, and setbacks as lessons. So the question isn't whether you can change. It's whether you're willing to endure 3 months of deliberate effort. Because that's all it takes to start living the life that most people only dream about. Let's get real for a moment. Most people live their lives reacting, not creating. They wait for circumstances to align, for permission to act, for someone else to validate their worth. But the truth is, change doesn't ask for permission. Change doesn't wait for your comfort zone to give way. Change comes to those who are willing to take bold action, even when it's scary, even when it feels impossible. Think about it: every major transformation in history started with a single act of courage, a choice to act differently than everyone else, a decision to show up when no one else did. And that's exactly what you have the power to do, starting today. Now imagine 3 months from now. Imagine looking back and seeing every day you chose to show up, every day you chose action over excuses. You would realize that the person you were 3 months ago is barely recognizable, not because of luck, not because of a sudden miracle, but because of one thing: relentless consistency. It's small actions repeated over time that create extraordinary results. That's the system. That's the power. Here's something most people don't understand: transformation isn't just physical or external. It's mental. It's emotional. It's the quiet shift that happens inside you when you refuse to settle, when you refuse to accept mediocrity, when you refuse to let fear dictate your decisions. That shift is invisible to the world, but it's unstoppable. Once your mindset aligns with your actions, everything else follows. Opportunities start appearing, relationships improve, energy increases, confidence grows, and suddenly the impossible starts feeling inevitable. Let me tell you about someone who lived this truth. They had no extraordinary talent, no shortcuts, no easy path. All they had was a decision to show up every day for 3 months. At first, it was brutal. They faced failure, self-doubt, ridicule. But each time they persisted, each time they leaned into discomfort, they noticed something amazing. Growth became addictive. Progress became fuel. Momentum became a force they couldn't stop. And by the end of those 90 days, they had a completely new perspective, a new skill set, and a newfound belief in what they could achieve. And here's the takeaway: 3 months may seem short, but it's enough to rewrite your story. The question is simple. Will you treat the next 90 days as ordinary, or will you use them to build the life that others only dream of? Because those who act boldly now will be the ones who change everything, while everyone else waits, complains, and wonders why life passed them by. Let's talk about systems, because this is where most people fail. Motivation is unreliable. Inspiration fades. But a system that's unstoppable. A system is a set of intentional choices, repeated consistently, that slowly build momentum until your results become inevitable. It's not sexy and it's not instant gratification, but it works. Imagine your life as a garden. If you plant seeds randomly, hope they grow, and check once in a while, you'll likely be disappointed. But if you plant intentionally, water consistently, remove the weeds, and nurture growth daily, in 3 months, your garden will thrive. That's what a system does. It turns small, disciplined actions into visible, undeniable results. So what does a powerful system look like for your life? First, clarity. You must know exactly what you want to achieve. Ambiguity is the enemy of progress. If your goal is vague, your actions will be scattered. Write down your vision. Be specific. Be bold. The clearer your target, the sharper your focus, the faster your progress. Second, daily action. 3 months of effort is only effective if every day counts. Even if it's just one small step, that step compounds. Consistency beats intensity. Showing up when you don't feel like it is the true measure of character. Third, feedback. Systems require adjustment. You need to assess your progress, identify what's working, and pivot when necessary. Growth is not linear, but if you stay committed, it's inevitable. Let me give you a story. There was someone who wanted to transform their life, physically, mentally, and emotionally. They started small, 10 minutes of focused work a day, writing down their priorities, reflecting on progress at night. At first, results were almost invisible. Friends doubted, they doubted. But the system was relentless, day after day. The effort compounded. And after 3 months, the transformation was undeniable. They had strength they never had, clarity they never imagined, and a confidence that carried into every aspect of life. Systems made it happen, not luck, not talent, but discipline and persistence. Here's the secret: most people ignore. The quality of your systems determines the quality of your life. If your system is weak, your results will be weak. If your system is strong, no obstacle is insurmountable. And it all begins with a decision, a commitment to show up, to follow the system, to embrace discomfort, and to trust the process. So what will you choose? Will you wait for motivation to strike? Or will you build a system that carries you through doubt, fear, and hesitation? 3 months of a strong system will change everything. I want you to picture this: someone standing at the edge of their life, looking at all the things they've wanted to achieve, all the dreams they've postponed, and all the excuses they've made. They feel fear, doubt, uncertainty, but they also feel a spark. That spark is the only thing that matters. It's the seed of change. And here's the truth: everyone has that spark. Some people ignore it. Some people let it fade. But those who succeed, they feed it. They protect it. They cultivate it every single day for 3 months until it grows into a fire that cannot be put out. Let me tell you about a person who did exactly that. For years, they were stuck in a cycle of comfort and complacency. They told themselves they weren't ready, they weren't capable, that life would figure itself out. But then one morning, they decided to challenge themselves. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. They made a plan, they followed it. They set small, measurable goals and took action every day, no matter how hard it was. Some days they felt exhausted. Some days they wanted to quit. But each day they showed up. And here's the magic: by the end of the first month, small victories began to appear. Tasks that once seemed impossible became routine. Confidence grew. Energy multiplied. They realized that success is not an overnight event. It is the accumulation of persistent, daily effort. That's the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. That's why 90 days can change everything. Here's another principle: emotion drives action. Logic can inspire, but emotion fuels commitment. When you connect deeply to why you want to change, when you feel it in your chest, not just in your head, you cannot ignore it. That feeling becomes your engine. It pushes you to rise before dawn, to resist distractions, to endure discomfort, and to keep going even when no one is watching. Finally, remember this: transformation is not just about achieving goals. It's about becoming the person capable of sustaining those results. In 3 months, you can change your habits, your mindset, and your approach to life. You can rewire how you respond to challenges. You can become someone who no longer waits for life to happen, but someone who creates it intentionally, courageously, and relentlessly. So ask yourself now, are you ready to feel the discomfort of growth, to embrace the challenge, and to show up every single day for the next 90 days? Because that choice will define the next chapter of your life. Let's be honest, most of the obstacles in your life aren't external. They're inside your head. They're the doubts, the fears, the old stories you keep telling yourself. They're the voices whispering, you're not ready, you're not enough. This is too hard. And here's the brutal truth: those voices are lying. They are the chains holding you back, the invisible walls that make comfort feel safe and progress feel dangerous. But you don't have to believe them. You don't have to let them control your life. The first step toward change is seeing them for what they are, fear masquerading as reality. Think about it: every person you admire, every success story you've ever heard involved a choice to act despite fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's taking action in spite of it. And here's the key: fear always shows up when you're on the edge of growth. That's a good sign. It's your body and mind signaling that something important is happening. The question isn't whether fear exists. The question is, will you let it stop you or fuel you? Let me give you an example. There was someone who had a dream but kept procrastinating, kept doubting, kept waiting for the right moment. Every obstacle in their mind felt real. But then they made a decision to show up anyway. They broke their fear into smaller pieces, confronted each one systematically, and acted despite the discomfort. At first, it was terrifying. At first, it felt unnatural. But with every step, the fear lost its power. The confidence grew. The momentum became unstoppable. That's how internal resistance is overcome, one small, deliberate action at a time. Here's another truth: your mind will try to trick you into quitting before the work even begins. It will argue, rationalize, and negotiate. That's why a system is crucial. Systems remove debate. Systems create a path that your fear cannot block. When you show up consistently, when you follow the structure you've built, fear becomes background noise. The results come. Progress happens. Life changes. So understand this: fear and doubt are not signs to stop. They are signs to push harder. They are proof that you're stepping into the unknown, that you're expanding beyond old limits, that you're becoming someone stronger than you were yesterday. And in the next 90 days, those who embrace this discomfort, those who persist despite the mental resistance, will emerge fundamentally different, more confident, more capable, more alive than ever before. Discipline. It's a word most people fear because they think it's punishment. They imagine a life of restrictions, of deprivation, of joyless routines. But the truth is the opposite. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is what gives you control over your life when everything around you feels chaotic. Discipline is what turns intention into action and dreams into results. And here's the secret. It's not about willpower. It's about creating routines so consistent, so automatic, that they no longer rely on motivation at all. Think about the next 90 days as a laboratory for your life. Each morning, each evening, each choice is an experiment. What works, you repeat. What fails, you adjust. The people who change fastest aren't luckier. They've mastered the art of showing up. They've designed their days so that the important things happen naturally, not sporadically. They build habits that protect them from distraction, that resist temptation, that enforce progress automatically. That's how you win, not through bursts of effort, but through persistent, deliberate action. Let me tell you a story. Someone wanted to transform their life. They started by creating a routine, a small, non-negotiable set of actions every day. Wake up early, write down priorities, take action on the most important task first, reflect at night. Simple, but relentless. No matter how tired they felt, no matter how unmotivated, they followed the system. The first week was hard, the second week harder. By the fourth week, something extraordinary happened. Momentum took over. The system was no longer a burden. It became the engine driving their transformation. And by the end of 3 months, their life looked completely different. Not because of luck, but because of discipline applied consistently. Here's the advanced truth: most people ignore success is not about extraordinary talent. It's about ordinary people executing extraordinary routines. The habits you perform when no one is watching determine the life you live when everyone is watching. Every repeated action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every choice matters. Every day counts. So ask yourself, what systems will you implement today? What routines will you protect no matter what? What actions will you make non-negotiable for the next 90 days? Discipline is not the enemy of freedom. It's the tool that unlocks it. And if you commit fully, you'll discover that 3 months is enough to change not just your results, but your identity, your confidence, and the trajectory of your entire life. Life is not linear. Growth is not neat. You will face setbacks, failures, and moments when it feels like nothing is working. And here's the truth: most people refuse to accept those moments are inevitable. They are guaranteed. But what separates people who succeed from those who give up is not luck. It's resilience. It's the ability to take a hit, to stumble, and to keep moving forward with purpose. Resilience is not something you are born with. It's something you build every single day through choices, habits, and mindset. Think about the last time you failed. How did it feel? Painful, humiliating, discouraging. Now imagine if you had approached that failure differently. if instead of letting it defeat you, you used it as fuel. Every setback is a lesson, every obstacle is an opportunity, every challenge is a test of your commitment. When you begin to see life this way, when you reframe hardship as growth, nothing can stop you. That's the mindset that transforms 3 months of effort into lifelong change. Let me tell you a story. Someone decided to commit to a new path, to transform their life in 90 days. But the road was not smooth. They made mistakes. They faced rejection. They felt exhausted. The first instinct was to quit, to retreat to comfort. But they chose differently. They reflected on every failure, learned from it, adjusted their approach, and continued to show up. The more they persisted, the stronger they became. By the end of 90 days, what once felt impossible became normal. Resilience had been forged in the fire of challenges, and it was unstoppable. Here's another key insight: challenges do not diminish you. They define you. The person who overcomes, the person who endures, the person who keeps showing up when the world says stop, becomes unstoppable. Pain and discomfort are not enemies. They are teachers. They sharpen your focus, deepen your courage, and build strength you didn't know you had. Each time you face adversity and choose action over surrender, your confidence grows exponentially. So here's the question: when life pushes back, when fear whispers, when doubt knocks at the door, what will you do? Will you shrink or will you rise? The next 90 days are your proving ground. Every setback is a chance to show up stronger, to grow faster, and to become the version of yourself that most people only dream about. Resilience is your superpower, and it begins when you refuse to quit, no matter what. Momentum is the invisible force that separates those who succeed from those who merely try. Once it starts, it carries you forward almost effortlessly. But here's the catch: momentum doesn't appear on its own. You have to create it, protect it, and accelerate it deliberately. Think about a snowball rolling down a hill. At first, it's small, almost insignificant. But if you keep pushing it, guiding it, adding to it, soon it becomes unstoppable. That's exactly how personal transformation works. 3 months of focused, consistent effort is enough to create a snowball so powerful that your life cannot go back to the way it was. Let me tell you a story. Someone began their 90-day transformation with tiny, almost invisible steps. At first, progress was slow. It felt like nothing was happening. But they didn't stop. They kept showing up, kept taking action, and trusted the process. Slowly, momentum began to build. Every small victory fueled the next action. Every challenge they overcame became another boost. By the middle of the 3 months, what had once felt impossible, discipline, consistency, resilience, was now natural. By the end, the momentum they had built carried them to results they couldn't have imagined at the start. That's the power of consistent effort compounded over time. Here's the key principle: momentum is exponential. The more you act, the more confidence you gain. The more confidence you gain, the more capable you feel. The more capable you feel, the more action becomes automatic. It becomes a virtuous cycle that no external circumstance can easily break. But you must protect it. One day of quitting, one day of hesitation can stall the entire system. That's why commitment matters. That's why showing up every day is non-negotiable. Another insight: momentum transforms mindset. When you see results from consistent action, your identity begins to shift. You no longer think of yourself as someone who tries, or fails, or waits. You become someone who acts, someone who achieves, someone who overcomes. Momentum isn't just movement, it's transformation in motion. So ask yourself, how will you use the next 90 days to build unstoppable momentum? Will you wait for motivation, or will you take deliberate action, one small step at a time, and let it compound into life-changing results? The snowball is waiting. Start rolling it today, and by the end of 3 months, you won't recognize your life or yourself. Now imagine this: 3 months from today, you look in the mirror and see someone completely different. Not because the world has changed, but because you have changed. The doubts, the fears, the excuses, they no longer have power over you. You are stronger, sharper, more focused, more resilient, more capable. And it all started with one decision: the decision to show up, the decision to take action, the decision to refuse to settle for mediocrity. Transformation is not a gift, it's a choice. It's the culmination of every single action you take, every day you refuse to quit, every time you embrace discomfort instead of running from it. The life you dream about, the person you long to become, the goals that feel out of reach, they are waiting for you. But they won't come to you unless you reach for them. The next 90 days are your proving ground, your opportunity, your chance to rewrite your story. Let me tell you a secret: the most powerful version of yourself already exists inside you. It's not something you have to find, it's something you have to build. You build it by showing up, by committing to growth, by taking bold, consistent action. Even when it's hard, you build it by refusing to let fear, doubt, or failure dictate your path. You build it by becoming someone who doesn't just dream but executes. Someone who doesn't just wish for change but creates it. Someone who doesn't wait for life to happen but makes it happen. And here's the final truth: when you commit fully to these 90 days, you will discover strength you never knew you had. You will discover courage in the moments you feel weakest. You will discover clarity where confusion once ruled. And the ripple effect of this transformation will touch every part of your life: your health, your relationships, your mindset, your career, your impact on the world. So I ask you now, will you look back in 90 days and wish you had started today? Or will you take this moment, this choice, this fire inside you, and ignite it in unstoppable action? The time is yours. The power is yours. The change is yours. Nothing and no one can stop the person who decides right here, right now, to become extraordinary. It begins today. It begins with showing up. It begins with courage. It begins with you.